Before we get right into the business of the day, I would want to say, if you're new here, thank you for coming and clicking. If you're a returning subscriber, you know you were loved, you were celebrated, you are appreciated. Thank you to all those of you who are subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate you with all my heart. And hey there, do not skip my ads, right? When you see an ad on my video now, please watch it. Before now, there were ads on my video. I don't know why YouTube puts ads there, but I wasn't making money. I just got monetized, I think, a day ago. So please, when you see ad now, watch it. That's just a way you can just help your girl. Like, okay, keep on the good work. Thank you so much. Now, back into the business of today. Why did Biden offer to give Africa, let's say, okay, yeah, it's 55 billion, 55 billion dollars. I see something behind this, because you see, like the illustrations goes, the devil do not give you something free of charge. There is always something behind it. Now, the reason why I say that there is something behind it, now forget the issue of the competition US might be making with China and Russia, because they are beginning to see that okay, let's say Africa is in the middle, right? And China is by this side, China and Russia are by this side, and then US is alone by the other side. And they are beginning to see that if they do not do something as soon as possible, Russia and China will get hold of Africa. Now we are the sacrificial lamb. We are the national cake. They are fighting for us, African people. That we do not value ourselves. We do not want to respect ourselves. We do not want to see the potentials that we have if we are united as a body. We are not seeing it, but they see. They know what they could get. That's why we are like, Africa is talked about everywhere, and they do not want to accept that. Anyway, now this offer of his is not going down well with some of our other brothers, the white brothers. It's not going down well with the Americans, and some of them have a lot of things to say. I'm going to drop something here that just summarizes everything. Now take a look at it.
Joe Biden just pledged to give $350 billion in U.S. taxpayer money to the continent of Africa. This was during the U.S.-Africa conference, where Biden was talking to the leaders of about 50 or so different African countries and told them the United States is all in on Africa's future. He said when Africa succeeds, the United States succeeds. No, Mr. President, when the United States succeeds, the United States succeeds. We are $31 trillion in debt. We don't need to be sending one freaking penny to anyone else. It doesn't matter if they're in Africa, Asia, Europe. It doesn't freaking matter. We are $31 trillion in debt. How about instead of being all in on Africa's future, you are all in on America's future?
Now, we have accepted these people. We are waiting to see the promises they've made after the summit. They said a lot of things that we think is of our favor. They said a lot of things that we think that they have us at heart. That is always the problem of the African people. I don't know if we are going to learn or history will repeat itself. Because it's like the president of Kenya said, it should be a win-win for both the US and the African continent. I don't know if it's like that. There is something we have refused to understand. I think that should be from our leaders down to the least. These people do not play a fair game. They do not play a fair game. And this is evident from history of the relations that Africa has with these people. Now listen to our doctor, listen to her and get to understand more of what I'm trying to say.
No, I am very grateful for your candor, and it sounds to me, I think there was a lot of criticism of the last summit like this under President Obama, that there was like no follow through. And, it's one of the big questions I'm asking is, how do you make a big bang summit where everyone comes over? It's like checking off the box to say, okay, we've done Africa, now we can move on to other things. How do you make that something that's a more sustainable and a more continuous engagement of the United States with Africa? And what I'm hearing from you is frankly a lot of disappointment and, a lot of pessimism about what may come out of this summit.
Well, the point of the matter is already, nothing is going to come out of it because it is a one-sided conversation.
Right.
Where is the agenda? The agenda should have been published way in advance. The African leaders should have been given an opportunity to also state their position so they can come up with an African position that can then be discussed alongside the American position. So the fact that it is a one-sided conversation, that is yet going to be another useless meeting with no outcomes. But again, I'm going to keep emphasizing the reason this is happening is because there is a disrespect for the Africans. There is a general feeling that we don't need to hear from the Africans. Their opinions do not matter. That we realize the problem. Why were the Africans not consulted? Why were the Africans not part of an agenda? Why was there not even an agenda like what happened during the FOCAC meeting with China? Those are some basic issues. President Biden would not pick up and go to meet with any other leader in the world without an agenda. That simply doesn't happen.
Right.
So what makes the US think that they can engage African leaders without an agenda? Come to Washington, let me tell you what I want to do for you. Come to Washington, let me tell you what you need to do in your countries. That game is an old game.
Right.
It's not going to work anymore. To be honest with you, if I'm to speak the truth, I hope a lot of heads of states don't come. Because it is an insult. It is an abuse of the African leaders. It's a disrespect of the African leaders. Where is the agenda? Please respect the African leaders. Do unto them what you would want done unto you.
So
it's really a simple ask.
Because there are lots and lots of people that would need this money in America. There are lots of black Americans that they are not paid their dues. There are some that are working, but they are still poor because they can't even afford. There are still persons living in America that do not have houses to stay. They stay in what do they call it? This little shelter they create, like tents. They stay in tents. They sleep in tents at night in the open field. And they are willingly offering $55 billion. And we think there is nothing behind it. We think it's just like that. And we are happy. We are jumping whenever we hear money. That's our problem, Africans. Whenever we hear money, they are going to give us some amount of money. We don't think about what are those prices that we are going to pay. What are those sacrifices that we will pay for? You know, recently the African continent is somehow pulling off from them. The reason why I'm using that word pulling off is a lot of offers coming from the US that most African countries are not accepting. Offers coming to do what, coming to mine what, coming to do this and that, and African leaders are always saying no, no, no. So they are beginning to see that Africa is gradually pulling off their hand. Right? They are beginning to see that. And someone said in the summit, I don't know if I can get hold of that video, someone said that Africa is the best choice, US is the best choice for Africa in terms of business, which I do not argue. I won't argue that fact. But you could see the pride in which this man was saying it. China and Russia can't do this. They are not true to their words. They can deceive Africans and go away. It's just the US alone that can keep to their word. And this is the same US that have been doing business with Africa for this long period. Now, what is the difference between this summit and the previous summit that they've had? What are your thoughts? What do you think about all this? Because I think we are divided right now as the African body, which is also a problem. It's always a problem when we hear money. It's always a problem when we hear good things. They say good things. They rub our backs. They pat our heads. But do you know what they go behind the doors to do? Do you know the decisions they make? You don't know. But we are always happy when we hear them say things about us. Our leaders are always happy when they go out there and stand with these people and take pictures, and we think that is the end of it. We think this is it. This is love. This is the life. But a lot of times, at the end of it all, they do not keep to their own end of the bargain. If what has been said at the summit will be implemented as said, if there is no ulterior motive behind whatever Biden said and his crew, whatever Biden and his crew said at the summit, if there is no ulterior motive behind it, of course, the both African and US it will be a win-win, like the president of Kenya said. But I was happy with the statement that the president of Ghana, what he said, that we should respect ourselves as African people and leaders. and implement user money in Africa. I think that's just a summary. It's not word to word, but I think that's just a summary of what he was saying. You see, there are lots of things. And that's why I said I will hear your opinion. The US government, what are their plans for Africa? Is it true? Is it sincere? What do you know about that? Leave your comment and thought there in the section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive. Bye for now.